Hi, I'm Daniel Foley. In this video, I want to talk to you about the path to better results, or the path to success. The last several weeks we've been talking about this principle of the beginning and the end. How if you get the beginning and the end of something in the right place, typically everything in the middle will work its way out. And then a couple weeks ago we talked about the idea that the beginning and the end are both important, but the end is actually better than the beginning. The end is actually more important than the beginning. The finish of a thing is more important. What I want to talk to you today is, what about the middle portion here? So you've gotten started, you're on the path to getting better results. You got to get started, you got to get on the right path, and then you got to become a good finisher. But what about the middle? What do you do in the middle of this path? So there's a couple Bible verses that are pretty interesting where Jesus says the way to destruction is broad. It's a big, wide highway that most of the people in this world are going down this path that's broad, leading to destruction. But he says the way to life is narrow and very few find it. Okay, so we're talking about this idea of the path is narrow. It's a skinny path that you got to go to get good results in. Now, the other part of this is he talks about my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So the things that you actually have to do to stay on that path, they're actually not that hard. To drink a little more water, to eat your vegetables, to do your daily mobility routine, to do a little bit of exercise, to go for the walk, to start saving a little bit of money, whatever it is. The things that you need to do for success are usually not that hard to do. They're usually little things that are not, they're just as easy not to do as they are easy to do. The problem is that even though those things are easy, the path is narrow and it's easy to get knocked off the path. Okay, so busy schedules, life throws you curveballs, adversities, all kinds of things are going to come in and try to knock you off the path. So you get started, you start eating better. You get started, you start working out. You get started, you start saving money. You get started working on your relationships. Whatever it is, you get started on this path. You find a better path and you start doing things in a better way. I guarantee you something's going to come along to try to knock you off the path. Because the path is narrow. It's like walking down a balance beam. I think about, sometimes we'll go for a walk with my wife and kids, and my kids love to walk on the curb. They walk on the curb as we're going down the road, and it's a very narrow, like walking down a balance beam. And it's hard for them to stay on that path, so to speak, as they're walking down this curb. So the path is narrow. Life is going to try to throw you off track. Other people may even try to throw you off track. Life circumstances, adversities, all kinds of things will come in to try to knock you off the path once you start moving down and you start taking steps in that direction to whatever. To get healthier, to do better in your finances, relationships, spiritual life, whatever it is, something is going to come to try to knock you off the path. So the question is not how hard is it to take the steps forward down that path. The question is are you going to stay on the path? Because Jesus says very few find it, very few make it, because most people get pulled off of the path at some point. So a big part of this is we got to learn to make course corrections. So sometimes you're going to get off the path and you got to get back on as quickly as possible. Like I said, you were eating good and all of a sudden, you had a bad meal. Do you get back on track? Do you get back on the path as quickly as possible? Could be you missed a workout, you didn't save your money last month, you didn't give money, whatever it is. Do you get back on the path as quickly as possible when you get off? Okay, so there's going to be a couple things that I think you need to do and you need to have if you want to stay on this path. Okay, number one, you need education. You need to know what are the steps that I need to take to move me forward down this path to get to where I want to be. Maybe you need a better plan. Maybe it's a nutrition plan, maybe it's a fitness plan, financial plan for your relationships, whatever it is. You need to know what steps you need to take to be on the path that leads to where you want to go ultimately. Okay? If you're trying to go, get directions, you need to know what are the turns that I need to make to get to the destination that I want to be at. You need a better plan, but you also need to have understanding. Okay? You need to understand the principles of what allow you to move ahead on that path, because if you just have education and you don't understand what you're learning, okay, you won't understand the principles, and now when adversity comes, it knocks you off the path easier because you're not very flexible, you're not adaptable, and you get out of balance very easily because you don't have understanding. And so we have to learn, but we also have to develop understanding in it. Next thing is you have to practice. If you want to stay on that path, it requires practice. Whatever it is that you are learning, You need to be continually putting it into practice all the time. So if you're learning about nutrition, or you're learning about fitness, or you're learning about any area, if you're not practicing what you are learning, it's not doing you any good. It's not moving you ahead on that path. You could have the greatest plan in the world, but if you're not putting it into practice, it's not going to do you any good. Okay, and that goes for any area of anything in life, so to speak, is you got to practice. And then number 3, you need support. Okay, so if my kids are walking down that curb next to the sidewalk and they're walking on it like it's a balance beam, if I hold their hand, it's a whole lot easier for them to stay on the curb, to stay on the balance beam if I'm holding their hand. So you might need to get some support to help you stay on the path. It could be friends, could be coworkers, could be a workout partner, it could be a mentor, it could be a coach, it could be a trainer, whoever it is. You need someone to give you some support. You need maybe a community of people around you who are encouraging you to stay on the path. Because unfortunately, most of the people in the world are on the other path. They're going the wrong way. The way is broad that leads to destruction. Most of the people are going down a path to poor health, to a path of not good financial situations, to a path of not good relationships. All these kinds of things. They're going down a wrong path, and they're going to try to pull you over onto their path. You need some people in your life that are going to give you the support that you need to stay on the path. Okay, so it could be whoever it may be. You need to surround yourself with those people who are going to help you hold your hand and keep you on the path. And maybe if you fall off, they give you some correction. They speak the truth to you and help you to get back onto that path as quickly as possible. So the question becomes, the path is narrow. You will probably fall off or veer off from time to time. Okay? The question becomes, how quickly do you get back on track, and do you get back on the path as quickly as possible? Okay, so that's the idea that I want you to understand, is you got to get started, you got to get on the right path, you got to focus on becoming a good finisher, but in the middle, realize the path is narrow. It's easy to fall off. It's easy to stop doing those little things that you were doing that were moving you ahead. And when you realize that, hey, I'm off the path, I got to get back on as quickly as possible. I got to learn. I got to make sure that I'm putting into place plans that are moving me in the direction that I want to go. I got to make sure that I'm consistently putting those plans into practice. And then I've got to make sure that I've got a team around me of people who are going to support me, help me to stay on that path, and to give me some correction and some feedback maybe if I get off track. Because you're going to get off track sometimes, and you got to make sure you get back on track as quickly as possible. I hope this helps you. So my encouragement for you would be, keep practicing, keep staying on that path, and start to work on getting that team of people around you who can really help you.